Hello and welcome back to On Track GP for this very last minute with breaking news episode. I'm wearing the hat because the big breaking news is that Guenther Steiner has been let go from the Haas F1 team. He's going to be replaced by Ayao Komatsu. It's huge news. Everybody's favorite character in Drive to Survive. And it feels like this has kind of just come from nowhere. We're going to go to Coylin. Coylin, thank you for joining us so last minute. Talk to me. What has happened here?
Well, that's the big question, I think, because it's like you said, it just kind of came out of nowhere. And as you said, obviously people won't be too happy no longer in Drive to Survive. But it's a funny one. It's not one I can say that I'm completely surprised at, because we know the fact that Haas has just been kind of backwards for the last few years and nothing's really changed there. But all in all, I'm not sure what to make of it. Really, really big breaking news on this Wednesday evening.
Well, look, this is the thing. They last year basically brought a tractor to F1, and it just did not work for them. And they haven't really had much success, really, at all in recent years. But Guenther is one of those names that you just sort of think, oh, he's always in it. He's going to be there. Of course he's going to be there. You don't think about characters like him being let go. Do you think that's a loss to the sport, losing that kind of personality that we're going to see up and down the grid?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I think often when you go back to the Drive to Survive point, a lot of people are saying, kind of criticize for putting stuff on the camera, but that's really Guenther. That's what he's like. That's what he's like in every interview. That's what he's like in every press conference. He's going to be a big miss. A lot of people really think a lot of him. But on the professional side as well, I mean, Guenther's been in motorsport for at least as long as I can remember. Even before F1, of course, he used to work with M Sport and Colin McRae. The mechanic with him in the World Rally Championship, and he worked with Red Bull as well, of course, the F1 team during their early years, 2005, around that time. So he's always kind of been in and around the sport, and it's a big shame to see him go. And I'm not too sure about Ayao Komatsu. I don't know too much about him. Often see his face around, but we'll just have to see. You have to remember with Haas, the big partnership with Ferrari. It doesn't really matter who you put in there, in my thinking, because at the end of the day, it's a second-hand Ferrari. There's not a whole lot they can do with it.
It's really interesting. I agree. I don't know either myself much about Ayao Komatsu. He's obviously been with Haas since, I think, 2016. So he's very familiar with the product of what that is. I'm just going to read you Gene Haas's himself statement, because I think there's a few things that are really quite interesting in here. So he says, I'd like to start by extending my thanks to Guenther Steiner for all his hard work over the past decade. And I wish him well for the future. Moving forward as an organization, it was clear we need to improve our on-track performances. In appointing Ayao Komatsu as team principal, we fundamentally have engineering at the heart of our management. I mean, he goes on to say a little bit more, but that feels kind of like quite condemning of Guenther Steiner, really, basically saying that the car hasn't been good enough, so we're getting an engineer in to do this job. Yikes.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, like you said, Ayao Komatsu, he was an engineer. I don't know, I can't think off the top of my head what title he held in Haas, but he was fairly high up in the engineering side of things. He actually came over with Romain Grosjean. He used to work as Romain Grosjean's race engineer at Lotus, I believe. He came over with him in 2016 when Grosjean made the move. And he's been kind of the head honcho of engineering there, more or less, for the past few years. So, but just going back to the point, like I said earlier, it's no secret that the Haas is made of a mix and match of Ferrari parts. There was a talk last year of Ferrari setting up like a Haas command point of Fiorano to try and help the team, but it just seems no matter what they try to do, hasn't really helped. So it'll be interesting to see in 2024 and of course beyond, if this whole kind of idea of putting an engineer in the heart of our management, if that can really pay off for them, and if it does, how will it pay off for them?
Yeah, it will be interesting to see, because my kind of view on this, Coylin, is that they've got very little to lose by changing things. I've loved Guenther as a character, as an entity, as a form of entertainment in the sport, but he hasn't brought a huge amount or enough success to Haas. Now, if they want to think to compete, and by the way, this is the other interesting point. We know that Liberty Media, American company, are really so at the forefront of F1 now. We've seen these rumors now coming that Andretti, another American entity, could be coming into the sport. Is Gene Haas maybe feeling the pressure of another American force coming in and thinking, I've got to make myself the number one. If this Andretti thing happens, I've got to make myself the number one team here?
Yeah, well, that's a very good point you make, Joe. I mean, I suppose when you're that low or struggling like that, any change is good change, and it can only bring positivity. If anything, it'll bring a kind of a breath of fresh air to the team and kind of a bit of rejuvenation in there. And yeah, for sure, I think Gene Haas. I've often thought myself the past few years. I often wonder why Gene Haas keeps throwing money at the team when he all he seems to do is go backwards. But
Yeah.
you've got the likes of Andretti, you've got, like you said, coming through, and another American interest, be it with sponsors or the drivers or whatever. Gene Haas, if he's not careful, he can become very irrelevant very quickly.
Yeah.
Uh, that's not what the team wants. So of course, yeah, like you said, change is good change, and hopefully for them it'll pay off.
From a selfish point of view, I'm sad that Gunter's gone. But realistically, if I'm actually, supporting Haas, which is not my favorite team, but if I'm a Haas fan or I work for Haas or I'm Gene, you've got to mix things up. Is it Einstein? I think said. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome is the definition of insanity. So it sort of does make sense that that they're mixing things up. I mean, I'll tell you what is a bit sad is that lovely image of Binotto and Gunter driving through the Italian mountains together. They can do that now whenever they want because they're both unemployed. Oh, God.
We often made the joke on the channel of that sequence being filmed last year before Binotto got the boot.
Yeah.
Got the boot.
And now they're both in the boot. Favorite Gunter Steiner quote? Two jump to my head. Number one is when talking about Kevin Magnussen after he slammed the door shut. He does not smash my door. That's I mean, that is for me is about as good as it gets. And the other one was the hilarious sort of mix-up. I forget which media channel it was. It might have been Sky. When Gunter was talking about saying, what they would have done for an extra point. We can't get greedy. For one extra point, I would have hugged the whole paddock, saying I would have hugged the whole paddock. And they apologise for his language. You can maybe assume how they mix that one up. Do you have a favourite Gunter moment that stands out from his time?
I do, and I'm probably going to get it wrong because it happened quite a few years ago. It was actually in the first season of Drive to Survive when the team were running, I think it was the fourth or fifth, and they both suffered with the pit lane failures. And he was on the phone to Gene Haas, and they caught it on the camera and put it in the series. And he said something like, "We could have been a bunch of rock stars, but now we look like a bunch of wankers." He just pure on the phone about the throw. It was hilarious.
Well, look, ultimately, this shows that being liked doesn't necessarily, make you enough money in F1. And the big breaking news, Guenther Steiner has been let go from Haas. Ayao Komatsu is coming in, taking over as team principal. It'll be very, very interesting to see how Haas get off, how they start the season. But our last question for you, Coylin, is do you think this makes them have a better chance at outscoring what they did this season, last season compared to this season?
Well, you throw one more question to me. I'll throw one more to you in a minute. But to answer yours, I mean, yeah, who knows? A fresh person at the helm of the team definitely could.
Mm-hmm.
The thing for me, I'd be very interested to see. Obviously, Guenther Steiner, he was there for so long. He kind of had a handle on Gene Haas, who wasn't at every race, and entrusted him with the team. How will Ayao Komatsu, coming from an engineering side, adapt to that? Will he buckle under the pressure? Will he be able to maintain it? The management obviously think he can. And yeah, it'd be very interesting to see. I think even looking at it from the engineering side, having an engineer at heart in that role, maybe it'll help towards the relationships with Ferrari, how the car works, things like this. So yeah, it'd be very interesting to see. I think there's a lot of potential there for it to go well.
Yeah. Go on, you had one for me to finish off.
Yeah, to finish off, my thought into it is, do you think Guenther Steiner will appear in any other team?
Oh, that's a good one. Do Audi go in for him in 26? Do they go, we want to go big, we want big personalities, we want to make a splash? Does Andretti have a look at him? I don't know. I think out of the current crop, the difficulty is his F1 CV isn't as good as some of the other ones. I think, I'd probably rather have Binotto than Gunter at the helm if it was my team. But for entertainment value, please somebody snap him up because I want the laughs. Yeah, exactly. Well, look, you can follow along with all the hottest F1 news right here with us at On Track GP. Gunter is gone. That is the headline. And we'll keep you updated with all the changes that happen up to and, of course, through the F1 season. For now, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you very much, Coylin, for your time. And we'll see you soon. Take care. Thank you.